Alaikum salam.
First of all, I'm very happy to be here. I always love mentoring young people, talking to young people, helping young people. And I do seriously believe that we are not going anywhere if we are not educated. We are not getting anywhere if we give a cold shoulder to leadership, and if we think that leadership is a joke, or that leadership is something you're born with. All those are myths, they are not true. You will become a leader as a result of various experiences that you undergo in your lifetime, and it comes in with a lot of study and a lot of practice. I want to appreciate Madam Madiha, Dr. Madiha, and Mr. Mazoko. You see, I am now in a unique problem. Lecturers talk endlessly. Lawyers talk even more. Politicians are even worse. So if you combine that into me, then you have a serious problem. But I will try to be very clear and to summarize what I think I need to speak with us, because you are the most important element in society. You are leaders in your own right, and you are all professionals, you are learned. Although lawyers say that they are the only learned people, others are educated. So I don't have such biases. Let me try to do something with you. First of all, we need to be very clear as to what leadership means in the first place, and to be very practical about it. Yeah? It is simply the ability to lead, the ability to influence, the ability to guide others in order to achieve a specific vision which has been crafted by the leader. To put all these elements together, to encourage people, to give people confidence, so that we are able to do the right thing. Leaders do the right thing, managers do things right. They already have a prescribed way of doing things, and they are going according to that specification. But leaders actually generate the vision, and then we all work towards that vision. Now, when we speak of leadership, it cuts across everything. Leadership is there in the house, in the family, it is there in society through our imams and other clergy. But leadership is there also in terms of political leadership. And being a student of political science, I have this specific bias on political leadership, because leadership is about it's about who gets what, when and how. And this is a political season whereby we need to be acutely aware of the shortcomings we face as a society because of deficiency in leadership, and the way we are very reckless in trying to determine who is a good leader in any political position, in any administrative position. Now, when we talk about leadership, and we say it's the ability to guide, the ability to generate a vision and to help others to achieve a vision, there is a very important element to this kind of leadership. It must have an element of integrity. And what does integrity mean? In a very simple sense, integrity means doing the right thing for the right reasons. Okay. For example, listen to that story of Robin Hood. Robin Hood is nothing but a romantic character, yeah, who steals and robs the rich in order to supply what he stole to the poor. That is absolutely unethical. We like it as a story, and it is taught to our youngsters at a very young age, and they become unethical leaders because it glorifies theft, it glorifies plunder under the guise of doing something good. So you cannot do the right thing for the wrong reasons or using the wrong means. They must all tally together. As Muslims, we don't have any deficiencies in leadership issues and integrity issues and on ethical issues. And for that reason, you will allow me. I have read the principles of leadership as given by Imam Ali in a letter to one of the rulers whom he sent. He was one of our imams. He sent him, I believe, to Egypt or to Iraq, I'm not too sure. And he wrote a letter, a treatise for him to abide by in terms of being a proper leader. I have no alternative as a Muslim to reflect on what Imam Ali is saying and to interpose it across generations and time. And you'll find that it is a view that is also very critically relevant today. In fact, so relevant that Kofi Annan quoted Imam Ali and the principles of leadership to be the guiding principles about leadership across the world. And what is in short supply today is the issue of ethical leadership, including what we are facing in our county and in our country. Yeah? We have corruption on steroids. It's running away with us, from us, and destroying our lives. And it's very important for a captive audience like you are, young people, aspiring to be professionals, aspiring to be leaders, and in reality are leaders in their own right. I will just reflect on what Imam Ali had to say about leadership, in particular ethical leadership. And what is important is you take all what you have heard today, fuse them together, yeah, break the glass ceiling, and try to achieve and to become self-conscious of yourself and to attain perfection as Muslims, as young people, as citizens. If we are not brothers in Islam, in faith, we are brothers in humanity. So these are principles of universal application. They just don't apply for Muslims. If you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the whole lot of it is coming from the Islamic perspective as to what is just and what is right. The rules of war, which the UN has put in place, which is being broken every day by powerful nations, they are all found in the Quran and in our Hadith. There is nothing that is not complete. And it will be a serious thing for us to look for solutions elsewhere, whereas we have solutions within. Now the first one is that according to Imam Ali and according to our faith, even if you're a leader and you're given a position of power and a position of making decisions, remember that you are just a servant of Allah. The moment you become humble, you become a person with humility, you are able to become a very effective leader. I want you to reflect this, and the leaders that we have, though they are Muslims, not in one county, in several counties, and the way they conduct themselves, they look like demigods. They even ascribe to themselves that they are rulers. And even if you look at the leadership and integrity chapter of the Constitution, it is very clear under the principles of leadership that leadership is an authority which is given to you in trust, a manner, so that you work for the people. And it is also explicit that it is not a power to rule over people, what we call impunity. You cause a jam so that you can go with your ego. People who are taxpayers, you stop them on the street. They are the ones paying the taxes for that person to pass with his fuel guzzlers, which are paid for you, and you are not respected. You are disrespected. And that is because you fail to be humble, unakuwa na kibri. You can never ever be a leader. If you have elements of kibri, it's even worse. You're not going to Jannah. If you have even a small spot of kibri. So as young people who aspire to be leaders, being guided by this first principle that you are nothing, especially if you humble yourself before Allah and you know the sum total of Islamic behavior, you mean and you know you are nothing, and you're there to serve the people, not there to rule over people. The other thing is that a good leader must know the audience. Somebody is going into a position. In this case, he was going to a new country. That is a country that has experienced leadership before that person has come across. And people will be seeing, people will be comparing. An MP is vacating, another one is coming in. How effective you will be, you have to analyze the people, understand that they are used to something before, they are able to comprehend and compare so that you rise above that and you give them the best which they have ever received from past leadership. So that is what was meant by saying you must know your audience. You must not forget the previous leaders, good as well as bad. If they were good leaders, try to do better. If they were bad leaders, stay away from it and cut a different course so that people benefit. Don't feel bad about the situation. Just keep on trying to improve the situation and also try to improve yourself. You must also understand the fact that as a leader, people make mistakes. There will be people who will oppose you, for example. They'll speak ill of you. They will try to make you feel small, especially in our system, where we want to retain the status quo, to do things the way they have been done, which benefits the colonial mindset, which does not want to bring changes. And for them to do that, they use security as a means of intimidation, they use rough language, they will use bribes, they use demeaning language, they will use all sorts of tricks in order for ineffective leaders to go through. But once you have an awakened people who are determined to bring in positive change, you will realize that this leader who has come into office now is faced with people who openly and in a naked manner oppose them. Even as you run the administration, many will be making their mistakes. As a good leader, you must always forgive these mistakes and move on. Allah's attribute, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is one of forgiveness. And we must reflect the attributes of our Maker. In fact, when you forgive, you let go of a lot of unnecessary stress, and you are able to be very effective in the work that you do. So you must understand we all make mistakes, and it's not necessarily true for political leadership, it's for leadership across the board. If you're a father, you're a mother, you're a mzee wa mtaa, you are a manager, you're a dean of students, you're a lecturer, you are standing in a position of leadership, but people make mistakes, and you've got to have the grace to forgive those mistakes, and you'll get a much better following by doing that. The other thing for a leader is you must remove negative people from your life. Negative people are people who don't see good in anything. If you try something, they want to pull you back. If you want to make changes, they oppose those changes. Their job is just to be skeptical, to be negative. It's negative energy. And negative energy does not make you move forward, it makes you stagnate and even move backwards. So as a leader in a team, you need to inculcate teamwork, which means therefore, if there is anyone who has negativity in that group, throw the person out. So that you retain cohesion, you have unity, and you can empower the group by giving it the necessary energies that you may want to have to achieve your vision, because it's so important to achieve the vision and to encourage people to achieve the vision, and it requires teamwork. Teamwork will be absent if you have negative people in your circle. Do not mistreat them, but do not allow them to be. Let them enjoy the benefits of what the team can do, because it will also be an advantage to that person. Fault finding always never gets anyone anywhere. You do something, the only thing they look for is where is the fault in this thing. You may have a dozen good things which are going on, but they will try to sneak in a fault to bring in self-doubt. Can you really do this? This guy is not rich. Can he really become an MP? As if wallets are the ones which will plan the development of a society. It's a small car. It doesn't have a big car. Is that big car going to represent us? Is it going to bring the theory of change? Is it going to bring transformation in society? It is part of the thinking of the status quo, that you want things to remain the way they are, and you use negativity in order to deflate your emotions and your energy going forward. The next thing is, for a leader, you must remove the hatred. Never hate anyone. Never hate groups. Don't hate people. We hate people because of very myopic thinking, small-time thinking. You discriminate because of very petty issues. Or she's a woman, or his skin color is black, or is white, or is brown. You know they are coming from this kind of family, they are coming from that kind of background. Oh, it is a Muslim or a Christian. You see, we have these petty things which divide us and put walls between us. So, it is these kind of discriminations that breed hatred. And you start hating your fellow human being. Remember, if you are not brothers in religion, you are brothers in humanity. Always treat people equally, treat people well, never discriminate. The bulk of the world's problem is the result of discrimination, which also breeds hatred. Remember the last sermon of our prophet. He said specifically, I'm only trying to repeat, not in exact words, but what he said is that there is no superiority of one race over another race, of one people over another people. He was specific, an African over an Arab over whatever. So today's world is full of hate, full of discrimination. The hijab has become a symbol of hatred in India, in Europe, and elsewhere. We are lucky as a country so far to maintain a modicum of unity and of inclusivity. But we must always work hard on it to become more and more exclusive, to remove the specks in our eyes, which tend to see people from different kind of barriers. I like what Haile Selassie said in the United Nations or in the League of Nations. and it was made popular in the song of Bob Marley, for those who like Bob Marley. Yeah? Yeah? He was saying that so long as we are discriminative, we will always have war. The song is not war. It was coming from the speech of Haile Selassie. He said that if the color of our skin was no more significant than the color of our eyes, we would always have peace. He was talking about this general idea of discrimination in the world. So what we are saying is remove the hatred, view people as equals, accord to them respect, yeah? Appreciate other people's culture, because if you start demeaning somebody's culture, they will also demean your culture. If you think their food habits are strange, they are seeing yours as even stranger. So if we go on that trajectory, we are not going to achieve much. Hope the building was. Imam Ali also said that equality and justice is not the same thing. It may sound a bit outrageous, but what he meant is that you must treat those people who do good things, treat them in that category of doing those good things, and give them the credit they deserve for doing those good things. Because if somebody does well in class and another one does poorly in class, as a lecturer, if I treat him and her in the same way, it's going to bring a lot of complications in society. Because it will demoralize this person who's done better, but was not recognized because the lecturer was trying to be a good person, not to show differences or preferences. This is a principle that applies to everyone and in every situation. If somebody does good, you must treat them differently from those who do badly. If somebody is evil, you must treat him with a sharp look and to be sharp on them, as opposed to those persons who are generally doing good. And it means also meting out due punishment without fear or favor for those who bring corruption in society. In our everyday parlance, if somebody is involved in corruption, they should meet the full wrath of the law. You cannot look the other way. And if you do that, those who are not corrupt will say, why am I not corrupt? I should also become corrupt in order to enjoy the largesse of corruption. And this is where you find grand corruption which happens at the leadership scale suddenly percolates to the very, very small people on the ground. And that explains why you have city council askaris who roam the streets, brutalize vegetable vendors, brutalize very poor people trying to earn a living simply because they are simply reflecting the impunity of those who are in leadership positions. The moment leaders disregard the rule of law, take the law into their own hands, disregards court order, it is the beginning of anarchy, and the entire system becomes confused, and you will find a very hostile environment where nothing can grow. So what Imam Ali meant, therefore, in this one, is that equality and justice are not the same thing. So, you treat equals equally. So, when you treat equals equally, that is justice. If you are in a position of privilege, all those in that position of privilege will be treated the same, equally. But they cannot be treated the same with others who cannot and should not be enjoying that privilege. Kila kitu na kila mtu ana mahali pake. Lakini katika ile station of life, for that category, you must treat people equally. So, treating unequals equally is injustice. I hope we can understand this kind of prolonged thinking. Yeah, it's heavy philosophy, but if you can grasp it and inculcate it, you become the standard bearer of humility and leadership, I can assure you. The next thing is that if something is not broken, don't fix it. It's common sense, but common sense is not common, isn't it? Common sense is not a common entity. You enter into an office, in whatever leadership position you are in. You try in your zeal to be different. You try things that have not been tested. You disrupt systems that are in place. There are even certain developmental things that have been going on. Instead of making an analysis of how you can make them better or how you need to abandon them because they're not working, you just decide, look, I have to do things differently. I have to stamp my authority on things. You see, stamping and authority, it means tayari wewe you're not a leader. But you will see this trait in many people, in many establishments, whether it is in private life, in public life, in academic life. Watu wanakuja, wanataka kuifeel ile weight yake. They just do very disruptive changes for the sake of recognizing that ameingia mtu pale. So the general principle which is being established here, if it is not broken, don't fix it. There are many things that are broken. Go and fix those broken things. Sawa. Otherwise you are not effective. Yeah? And tukumbuke pia, if you're coming to the political field, there is a difference between mwakilishi, a representative who most are, and a leader. It's quite rare to get a representative who also have the idea of transformative and visionary leadership. And if you come across one and you don't get hold of it, you are people who are not going anywhere. Because what you will get is representatives who will start masquerading as leaders. Unajua wale watu, mimi ndio kiongozi, nikizungumza hivi ni hivyo, kama ni mbaya ni mbaya, sio kama ni nini ni nini. You know, that's not leadership. So, that is the antithesis of leadership. Yeah? Okay, I'm just pulling up a few conversations which I keep hearing. When you hear those things, you feel your skin is crawling. Yeah? You feel your skin is crawling. You feel like vomiting. Because people have been entrusted with such positions of changing and transforming society, and they're taking us down the street. Street thinking and street language. Now, the other thing is that as a leader, you must realize that we are small cogs in a wheel. Cogs can also be said to be spokes. Cogs are those things that surround the wheel, which supports the wheel and make the wheel move so that you get movements and you get that energy derived from that movement. What it also means is that everyone is important. And as a leader, you have to enhance everyone's capacity and capability and to make it work for the team. Because if you manage to do that and you have teamwork, then you can attain the vision that you have set for yourself and for society. To give you a very simple example, tuna madharau sana sisi wa Kenya. Tunamuona ule askari mlangoni ni takataka. In fact, anakutolea kitabu pale, you start asking questions. Hii ni nini? Huyu ni nani? But this is the problem. Remove that guard from the gate. It means once you arrive at the gate, even if it is your home, get out of the car, open that gate, drive in, get out of the car, and go and shut the gates. Can you imagine how tiresome and how silly that is. So whether you have an askari, whether you have an office messenger, imagine this office messenger unamdharau. If he is not or she is not there to send your letters and post from point A to point B or to bring in your tea, that tea girl, she is so important because by 10 o'clock your stomach is howling. You need that tea. But waambiwa hapana, nenda kachukua mwenyewe huko, your chai leo tea girl hakuna. So everybody has a function, everybody is important. You must respect every person. And as a leader, you have to harness that strength and encourage people and infuse teamwork so that you may be able to attain the goals. The moment you devalue anyone, you demean anyone, that is the time the cohesion of that team starts loosening up, and it's going to be very difficult for you to attain your vision. Now, connected to that is the idea that you must always give people credit whenever it is deserved. Don't be stingy. Somebody has done a good job. Show your appreciation. That's why we have a reward system. It doesn't have to be money. It can be a letter of appreciation. It could be a clap in the crowd. It could be a small trophy. It could be a small citation. Whatever it is, you must reward good work. Just as you must admonish work that has not been done well and try to assist and encourage better performance. So when you are a leader and you want to attain your vision and you do have a team, add everything to it, but also you must appreciate and recognize and give credit where it is deserved. The moment you appreciate performance, you are able to get more bounce with the group. Next is, and I'm about to finish, never, ever treat anyone favorably because of their proximity to you. This is the sickness of our Kenyan society. It is the sickness you find in governance systems, whether political, administrative, academic, or even in terms of private business. You will always find that people are carrying favors by being close to persons in authority. And if you are a person in authority, if you are a leader, and you start treating people favorably because of their closeness to you, that is where things come up. It's called chronism, it is called favoritism, it is called discrimination. And it goes against the way you have the talent and the energy to do work. You are always going to go for the second best and the third best and very bad products, simply because you did not take somebody according to somebody's ability and capacity to get that work done. Ni kuna wale watu ambao ni vichuzi-chuzi, vijitiatia, vijikurumisha. They will make their effort, wanamramba mpaka ile matapisha na watapika out of their corrupt deeds. So long as you are in the right books. Now wewe as a leader, you are not a leader if you start awarding those spineless people, watu ambao hawafai kabisa, unawapa positions of authority. Ndio ile unasikia sasa, wala wameingia wala, lakini kila kitu kwa familia yake, kila kitu kwa ndugu zake na vichuzi wake. There is complete distortion in terms of efficiency. You are going nowhere as a leader in building teamwork, in making people work towards a common vision, if you allow, because of your personal contact, ama ukuruba na watu, kuwapa watu positions of authority that they don't deserve, but it is simply because they are close to you or near you. Always rely on merit, rely on integrity, rely on somebody's capacity to do the work. I always tell people, umekwenda kazini si kutafutana, umekwenda kazini kujitafutilia riziki yako. Sawa? So the moment this gets distorted, that's what we see. Maji ya mafia yanafika kila mahali, taka kila mahali, kandarasi zimepewana kwa njia hazieleweki, pesa zimepotea, the services that we deserve are not there. Somebody amechukua position of authority akifungua mdomo akishika kichwa, jamaa, hali gani hii? And when people see, outsiders see that these are your leaders, they start thinking, hawa one is followers of who ni hali gani? Na hali ndio matokeo yanaingia. We miss on getting what we deserve. We don't deserve what we're getting today. We don't deserve this lifestyle. We don't deserve this poverty. We don't deserve this dysfunctional way of functioning. Yeah? Hakuna kitu hapa. Mojawapo therefore, apart from what I have said, is that we tend to favor people. It could be tribalism, it could be chronism, it could be corruption, it could be favoritism. Now, the last 2 or 3, and I've done another 5 minutes. You must listen as a leader to constructive criticism. Remember, I said remove the negative elements. But it does not mean that you immunize yourself from constructive criticism. Kuna wale watu wanakejeli kwa sababu wakukejeli, hawapendi uso wako, hawapendi unapofanya, ana wapambe wake. But then there are people who give constructive criticism. No. Those criticism, they are supposed to give you a feedback mechanism of how well you are doing or how badly you are doing. So that you need to restructure your strategy and the methodology of doing work in order to become more efficient in attaining teamwork and in attaining your goals. So, how do you allow for criticism? Sio kila mahali uenda una majeshi. Jamaa amevaa uniform. Unaona kama vile rais unaona anapomu approach uweze kumapproach. Na kuna ingine vile rais kidogo vya county wanajamaa wamvalisha uniform na magongo yale na manini brutality in order kujionyesha wao they are so special. Usiwafikie. So as a leader you must throw your doors open. Allow everybody to come. It could be a mechanism of suggestion boxes. But the best thing is to have teams which will come in and you have an enabling environment for people who work with you, who work for you, to be able to express themselves freely, and you must allow that constructive criticism. If you don't do that, you've shut the doors and windows to avenues of change. You'll think you are smelling of roses, but you are smelling of sewage. Because nobody told you you are smelling of sewage, so that you can start taking a shower and start making yourself much better than what you are. Next is you must show your face. Showing your face means you must be accessible to people. In our ordinary currency of Mohapa, you must allow for public participation. You must sit with people. You must get their viewpoints. You must get a feedback mechanism. You cannot go into hiding. Ukasema mimi nitafanya mambo ninavyotaka mwenyewe because I am a leader. Sawa ile. Acha kuchukulia kwamba yeye ni leader. Remember when we changed our road signs? Kuna jamaa walikaa wakasema Mombasa iko congested. It is a traffic problem. Magari hayendi kuna vipi. So what solutions did they bring that one? Wacha magari yote yende upande mmoja. So where will the congestion come from? But did you see what happened? People lost lives, people got injured, businesses got affected. Why did that happen? by failing in this very simple principle of allowing public participation because you think you can shut yourself in a boardroom and make decisions. Even the university, this university, shouldn't be making unilateral decisions for students. The moment they do that, there is going to be a lot of frictions and things don't work out. They're supposed to have a mechanism where the VC will be able to speak with you, open door policy, let's discuss how will this affect you, in what way, and you'll get brilliant results. Lastly, you must communicate clearly. Communication is a very important aspect of leadership. The two speakers say the same thing in different ways, but it means the same thing. For me, the ability to communicate. If you're an orator, that's good enough. But there are also orators who lead people in the wrong way. Yeah? Kama kuna wa Hitler, I forgot the name, who spiced up. If you've read Animal Farm, it was Squealer. Squealer was also justifying bad things which was done by the pigs, who have said that they are there to replace the humans so that they can run our affairs properly, and they became worse than the humans. Just like they became worse than the colonial government was there. So the idea is communicating clearly your means, not necessarily being an orator, but having the ability of putting your ideas forward in a coherent manner, giving instructions on what needs to be done so that the instructions are well understood. It means understanding your mission, your vision, and the way you move forward. Because the vision is the vision of what you want to achieve. Everybody must know. Then you have the mission. How are we going to do it? In between is clear communication strategy. So, if you don't say what you mean, you won't mean what you say. Try giving even your husband instructions to do something. If you don't do it well, if you're ambiguous, if you're very clear, then you can rest assured that the work will be done poorly and maybe in a very bad way. So, a leader must be able to communicate ideas, to communicate the vision, to communicate instructions clearly, and that means you avoid ambiguity. Mpaka ukide kumbakia bana afadhali nijaze mwenyewe. So you are flat-footed. You don't know whether you should do it, you don't know whether you shouldn't do it, you feel scared of asking again because your superior is busy na shakupa, nikaonekana mjinga, atanikemea. But the first fault was whatever was communicated was not done clearly. Whether it is by words written, text, whether it is by WhatsApp, a letter, an email, what's spoken, the common thing is that it must be done clearly and without any ambiguity. If you are able to internalize this and we come to the final point is that you must become organized. A leader must be organized. You must have a work plan. You must have timelines, and you must observe punctuality and discipline. Hii mambo yetu ya Kenya, kwamba mnaweka mkutano saa 5 only for the leader to start anaingia saa 9 because in his concept it is a concept of greatness. Kiongozi atafika kila mmoja shakaa shanichokea pale waiting for this big guy to come back. But that's poor time management, it's poor strategy. We don't achieve much. And we have a sickness in our political system, even in our cultural setup. Kwamba sisi si watu wa kuweka na kuchunga wakati. You need to be plan, you need to be effective, you need to be organized, you need to be very disciplined if you are to achieve. There are only so many hours in a day, even in your studying life. If you don't utilize those many hours, if you're not organized in your work plan, believe me, maybe you'll get a pass mark, but you will not achieve excellence or greatness because you are not organized. So one of the important attributes of leadership is to be organized, and being organized is proper time management. It also means keeping up to what you have said you will do. Yani usikulema promises ya urongo. No? So once you get organized, once you do proper time management, then you become a very, very effective leader. This is all what I managed to put up for us today. And in order to speak reflecting on our personal life, our political life, I will not release you until I tell you who I am. My name is Murshid. I was born in Old Town. I studied in Serrani Primary School and the Abraham schools. I worked in very many small jobs to earn a livelihood and to make my parents' life a bit better. Yeah? By doing odd jobs. Never shy away from those odd jobs. No more t-shirt uza. Safari kazi ya dukani uza dukani. I did that. Kuna mahali, kuna kandarasi ya kuhesabu magunia na ingia kwenye meli. Fanya. Kazi ni kazi. You must keep yourself sharp and busy. Na nyingine, don't start pretending maybe you saw me. So I must wait for something that is a perfect fit for me. Believe you me, those small things mutafanya hata unafanyia. It's experience and it's a way of knowing so many things and so many hardships. Your brain will come, and when it comes, all those accumulated experiences are going to move you ahead of us. I did that for 4 years, a long time ago, in the late 80s. Hakuna hii mambo parallel university which you are having. Hakuna my internet where you can do your reading. Yeah? We had a lot of problems, we had a lot of poverty. Yeah? We didn't have any person ahead of us and by like now you are privileged people. Baada ya miaka minne nikapata scholarship ya MEWA ya kwenda zangu India kusoma. I did political science bachelor, I did bachelor of law, I did masters of law in constitutional law. Then only I did my bar exams, but I went back to shipping. I did 11 years class in shipping. I taught at Bandari College. I got another qualification in shipping and logistics from UK. And I kept learning so many things along the way. So many certificates. Never stop learning. Put feathers in your cap. This is a very competitive world. Naona. Sijioni kwamba leo sisi tunamjipia yetu kwa BSc yetu kusema alhamdulillah. Yes, alhamdulillah, but always go for something. Be perfect. Aim for perfection. Get yourself properly armored so that you can move on in life. This is a very competitive world. But I became a CDF chair. I joined 3 commissions. The ones was Poverty Eradication Commission. We gave back to Youth Fund, Women's Fund, CDF Fund. I became a CDF chairman at Abarala. We built several schools and many other amenities despite very little money. I joined the Boundaries Commission. We made all the 290 constituencies as they stand today. Right. I then joined the National Police Service Commission in order to improve the work of the police from a colonial force into one which is democratically run. And I think we achieved a measure of success in that one. I am here now, trying to see and aspiring to be the member of parliament from Peter constituency, where I can use all these accumulated experiences and and educational background in order to solve the many problems facing us as a people of Mvita, and because an MP cuts across your constituency towards the national MP of the National Assembly, you can bring positive change to the entire region, to the entire country. I plead with all of you who are residents of Mvita, who are voting in Mvita, to cast your vote in my favor. That's not enough. To spread it to your friends and colleagues and family members, so that each one of you is able to produce 10 votes, and each of those 10 are able to produce a further 10 votes. The biggest beneficiary of the policy that I have in store are the youth. And you with a bright future. It's only that if you take people who don't deserve to be leaders and you make them leaders, you are going to undercut yourself. I'm not the one saying it. And we cannot force that. So even in the way we choose our leaders, let us choose people with integrity, with experience, with the right educational background, with the right motivations. I rest here. Thank you very much. I'm already getting a number of phone calls because I'm supposed to get into the next activity. I'm in a rush, but let's have minimum 3 questions and then be able to respond. In the future, if you have any other function, I'm very happy to come and be with us in order for us to share ideas of leadership. And one thing about leadership, leaders are supposed to bring leaders, to bring the leadership in you so that you become a better leader. Leaders is not about breeding followers. Wale watu wanapita mtaani wanafuatwa na kundi la watu. Like that piper. Anafuatwa na panya kila mahali na kukwenda. But that's not leadership. That is called dealership. Madila sound. A leader is one who gives birth to more leaders. I intend to bring up the youth to take up leadership positions and to be the leaders of today as well as of tomorrow. Thank you very much.